as many of our folks know, I have a cat who is often, we have two cats, but one who is my co-pilot here at the office. So fortunately, she's asleep. Nothing like good pets. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you chime in. I'm still trying to figure out the magic of these live sessions because we do our Zoom things and they're fun too, but there is something really special about seeing people come in and the chatter be sort of one day we'll have a language for this, but this kind of weird hybrid, I'm talking and you're texting sort of, there we go, cat on the lap. I think that's a new status level. I'm cat on a lap.
I have a cat. She's declined to enter the room. So, well,
a camera shy cat.
Sometimes I think she's helping Mr. Myrt build me some more shelves for my studio.
That's a good thing. I wish I could talk my Mr. Cat into such things. So it's so good to have you. I can't tell you how exciting it was to see you suddenly appear. Actually, I guess my first heads up was when Dan and Daniel were on your Dear Mondays with Myrt program.
Yep.
And Daniel, I was sitting there cheering, and then he brings up my site. I just about fell over. So
it's wonderful.
I was so very excited. I've been a fan of yours for a long, long time.
Thank you.
As our Projectkin community and associated mission genealogy community time in, Kayla, keep your eyes on the road. I got you. Lori, Marcy, lovely to see you all. As you get started here on Substack, what's been your experience? And tell us a little bit about what brought you here.
Well, I love new technology. And anytime people talk about something, especially a place where we can go, ex-professional journalists from major newspapers have come here because of the lack of censorship, which is very, very nice. And so then Dan and Daniel, my two panelists, said they'd step up and they're showing me the ropes and I'm learning new things all the time. Can you hear me now?
There you go. I can. I realized here I had my desk headset on and I was just hearing you on the phone. And look who's just joined us. Hello, Daniel. Nice to see you pop
in. I actually said to him, who is this Barbara person? What's her angle? And he's like, she's okay. And I'm like, if you're okay with Daniel, then you're okay with me. So it's an international community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's in fact super, super important to me. I met Daniel. Hello, Daniel. I met Daniel, 2.5 years ago, maybe something like that, when I had joined the Genealogy show in the UK during the pandemic. It was, I think, the first one that they ran during the pandemic. We signed up as Ponga. And I told my colleagues, by golly, we're going to do this. And of course, it started, I guess, 8 a.m., which is midnight our time. And there were it felt like a lot of midnight shifts because it was running seriously 24 hours. And there I was in the middle of the night and nobody was there, me and the crickets. And then Daniel pops in. Hello. We had some lovely conversations.
That's wonderful. Well, that is the one good thing about having a worldwide pandemic, is that it really legitimized these online meetings. So this is my first Substack. Is this called a video stack, or what the heck? What do you call it?
Live. It's just called live.
Okay.
Actually, if I have any criticism for Substack, one of the things that makes me crazy is their use of words, because they are not, they're consistent. They are very consistent throughout the platform. It's very, very consistent once you figure out what their nomenclature is. But their nomenclature can take some figuring out. What is a stack? What is a what is a chat? They do use words like chat and live as if it's a noun. So that gets a little
Mhm.
bit uncomfortable, but once you get used to that, then it's actually not so hard. There are some subtle things that sort of don't make sense until you, again, understand their language. The other trick is once you understand their language, you know how to talk to them.
Mhm.
And in the dashboard for if and the dashboard you always have as a publisher, if you have a publication, and the bot is fabulous, mainly because, yeah, it's good, but it knows about your configuration. So you can ask it things like, what did I just do? How do I
Thank
undo that thing?
Thanks to Marcy for just subscribing. I don't know if they're subscribing to you or subscribing to me,
I
but it's really cool to see this grow. That's
Yeah.
very exciting to me.
There we go. So that is one of the big points about using this live. I saw it on somebody else's live, but I'm always the one doing them, so I didn't know what the reverse side looked like. But yes, the because there's two of us here, all of you visiting who know me because you're my subscribers now see Myrt, and you can just hit the subscribe button and join her. So tell us a little bit about the things that you're going to be writing about on Substack.
Well, first of all, I'm big on writing already. I have one of those old steamer trunks that for travel, like if you took the grand tour of Europe, with drawers on one side and little hangers in a compartment on the other side. It's an antique. And I've been taking family heirlooms and writing a story in a little handmade journal. And I've been doing this on and off for about, well, since before we moved here. So maybe 5 or 6 years. So that when I pass away, these things are identified and I can tell the story about the person who had that particular thing, this spoon, that Battenberg lace tablecloth, but I haven't written about why things like this mean something to me. Now I've got a little what I call grandma and grandpa, and you'll
Oh,
and you'll notice that they have little hand knitted shawls.
oh,
Now I
oops. I think I lost your audio.
okay, are we doing
There you are.
better?
Yeah. We lost you
Okay.
right past the little knit awnings. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this little teeny tiny shawl I knitted, and this was before my parents were divorced, so I was in 3rd grade when I knitted a little shawl for these
Oh.
little wooden figurines, and they belonged to my grandma Myrtle, and that's was my dad's mom. That's why I didn't get to see her very much after 3rd grade, just only occasionally. But I had learned how to knit and wanted to do it, and these were originally pink. I don't know why the grandpa one would want a pink one, but it's what we had, and she helped me. I barely learned. She got these on a trip to Germany where, the old gentleman did a lot of carvings of little odd things like this. So these mean a lot, and I keep forgetting. I need to tell my story, my recollections, not just the story of Grandma Myrtle or my great grandmother in the Battenberg lace or the wedding ring quilt. So that's where I'm coming from as far as storytelling is concerned.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, that was absolutely beautiful. And one of the kinds of things that I keep trying to emphasize with Project Kin is the idea that storytelling takes so many, many forms. And that modern forms give you new ways to do that that carry even more. Photographs, obviously,
Hmm.
photographs carry a lot of information beyond the identification, but our voices
Hmm.
and the little, the touching, the knitted material just has so much in it that is so meaningful. As you describe that, by the way, two things. One, reminds me of Geppetto.
But there's no long noses here.
No, no, no. Well, Geppetto the carver, actually, not so
Yeah,
much
I
Pinocchio
know.
that he carved.
Little Pinocchio, but
Um,
he's the daddy. Yep.
and even talking about something like knitting was something that I gather your grandmother taught you how to do while you were spending time with her. It's
Mhm.
funny you say that. I had a lifelong desire to learn how to knit because when I was little, I remember watching my mother knit, but then we moved to the tropics and she was
No.
somehow uninterested in knitting. And I never understood why. I always felt badly that it was something that she didn't want to teach me because, that's how kids think. And in her later years, I was caring for her with dementia.
Oh.
And when I was first sitting with her and I just sit there for a long time, I thought of, oh, wait, can you show me how to knit? And at first she could, but as the
Mm.
dementia progressed, she couldn't hold the stitch long enough to do it.
Yeah,
But at
yeah.
that point I picked it up. And that's actually this is poorly made for those of you who really know how to knit.
Oh,
But I did this. To me, it's memorable because the yarn was the sweater. It is not the actual yarn, but it's like the sweater that I remember lusting
oh,
after that she made for
I
my
love
brother.
it. I totally love it, and you're telling me the tip of the iceberg of that whole
Exactly.
experience with your grandmother, the angst as you saw her now become more childlike, as you become more adult. There's just so many layers to things that it would take our lifetime to explain it to other people. But little snippets, little articles, little blog posts, little journals in my own handwriting
Mhm.
are ways that we can distribute that information. Luckily, I also made videos that, and my studio's almost set up. My um, quilting studio's almost set up so I can do it again. As I'm making these journals, that's fun to make it and show people in a few seconds how to do it, and then tell the story of the artifact or heirloom. Any one of these tactile things,
Yeah,
or, they're gonna notice that I have a few drop stitches on the backside of this of my grandmother's shawl, but that was what was. And,
that's right.
oh, thank you for sharing that precious story about learning knitting from that's just
Mom, yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
It's funny you also dropped in there that this is you were talking about telling the story of the objects as you're putting them in. And then you reminded us you're doing this in handwriting.
Mhm.
Handwriting itself is so compelling. I did a program yesterday. I'm hoping to have the video up in a couple of weeks for the Northwest Indiana Genealogical Society.
Oh, good.
And uh as I was describing, it relates to a cabinet card.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
mystery of finding my way around it. The funny thing is, one of the clues on there is a handwritten on it, which was completely wrong. That said, I think it's a Shriner, somebody dressed in Shriner outfit, as if it was a family member dressed in a Shriner outfit, which it most certainly was not.
Mm.
But the fact that she did that, and then God help us, she scotch taped this to the but I know the handwriting. I know who did it.
So,
And that becomes part of the story.
it totally does. And that brings another point about technology and advances in our knowledge about acid free materials, things like that over the years. I have a pencil, a tiny 3-ring binder that's about 4 by 6 that my dad used in medical school. And it was done in pencil and it's fading. But when you take a digital picture of it, not even asking for enhancements, it comes out of the paper
Mhm,
and is
mhm,
viewable. The only
mhm.
challenge is that my very youngest granddaughter, the not so little redheaded girl, can't read script because they haven't been teaching her that. And she's already in middle school. So
Ooh,
what can you do?
yeah. Yes, script is going to be one of those things. It's interesting. Montessorians teach script in
They did.
diapers. They
Yeah.
do. It's a wonderful thing. So as we go through this, I wanted to get you to share with our community here. Hello, Kathy. Um, share with our community here a little bit about what you're doing over on your Dear
Myrtle
Myrt
stuff.
archives and tomorrow's Mondays with Myrt.
So it's so fun.
Good morning, Paula.
I'm really, I have a panelist of people, including Daniel when he's not taking a college course or something like that. I have about 20 people, but I can only handle 10 at a time in StreamYard. So it's an international audience, people or panelists from Norway, Germany, England, Wales, Ireland, Canada. We've got a strong Canadian contingent. The focus of Dear Myrtle has always been help beginning genealogists get from, well, my grandmother said it was, so it must be true, to remember, even in elementary school, we had to say who the author and title was of a book, what are the sources,
Yeah.
guide beginning genealogists in the way they should go. And rather than lecture, it's a demonstration live. We're going to a website. Instead of just mentioning it, we get to go visit it and explore it.
Mm.
And it's not a lecture, it's a conversation. I mean, I know, and my panelists know what they want to talk about and the points to make, 2 or 3 points for that subject. We handle multiple subjects. Sometimes the attendees that come and watch us for free on YouTube will suggest something like they want to know what the heck Substack is. So I'm like, okay, I'm coming over here. But I think this is going to be a good place for networking in a safe environment. Um, I spent yesterday adding my profile picture and spiffing it up. And thank you to you for bit by bit, as much as I can take in at a time, you're teaching me about it. So that's Mondays with Myrt. We do it every other Monday. Thank you for the heart, whoever said that. Paula, thank you so much. She also knows that we do book club every other Monday.
And
And
that's not just any book club. Tell us about that one.
well, we're taking right now Dr. Jones's book, Mastering Genealogical Proof. Well, are we doing? Yes, proof. There's 2 of his books. And, normally a book club, you come, it's once a month, you have to have read the book. Well, what we're doing, his is a workbook, and these are public, so we cannot use his workbook questions or his case studies. So I have special panelists who are assigned 2 or 3 chapters to look at and see what rings true to them that relates to their own research. So they can quote a sentence or have a sentence of inspiration from Dr. Jones's book. And then we look at their homework, which is their take on what he said. And
Hmm.
the idea is to push beginners into, I might really want to buy that book and find out more about what he's thinking about. And so it takes about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks to handle one book.
Hmm.
And it's every other week. So it kind of spreads out. I have plans for 4 different books this year. And that's what we do in book club.
Wow. And when are those scheduled? Is it
They're,
scheduled also as a broadcast live and then on
yep,
video on YouTube? How does that
yep.
work?
It's the same way. They go to the same area, Dear Myrtle Archive on YouTube. It's a live broadcast. We can entertain questions from the attendees. And it's 15 minutes after Mondays with Myrt concludes. So I quickly blow my nose, pinch my cheeks, and, it's all about looking good. And then I sit down and start a new broadcast. It's already scheduled and shows up
Right.
already
Right.
over on YouTube. And
Wow.
I'm basically where once I was a very prolific text blogger with a graphic every time. I'm more of a video blogger or vlogger, as we say,
Yeah.
just because it's easier in my hands. I save for quilting, and
Yeah.
journaling.
Yeah, wonderful. Well,
Yeah,
that's fabulous, and I'm looking forward to, well, to being on your panel tomorrow,
tomorrow. Yes.
but also more generally welcoming your voice and the voices of your community members into this new world we're enjoying in Substack. One of the things that became clear to me about just a little over a year ago when I joined was that Well, first of all, it's very obvious quickly that there's no hashtag searching. And in fact, searching is a little bit different. It's very much
Oh,
driven by their algorithms, which is frustrating. But as I said, it's very consistent. So you can find whatever you want. If you're stuck in their system and you don't know the name of something that you're trying to find, you can go use SEO to find it. And it works like a
mhm.
champ because
Search
everything is
engine.
very good from an SEO perspective. Every post is on the back end, they do their technical SEO very well. So you just have to use reasonable words to be found, which is very nice. And it has made just this kind of community great. But one thing that's missing, there's no category for genealogy. So categories are an important part of it. Sometimes they call it tags. This is again terminology they're not very consistent about. But when you go to substack.com/home, there's these little buttons that appear across this top. None of them say genealogy. We're trying to fix that. Since about
I
August, September last year, I've been leaning in on them. I got him to agree it's an important thing. I now know the name of the developer who's working on it. I ping him every now and then. He says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I know, I know, I know." He actually got me a draft of it, a development version pushed to my account for like 4 days, which was a thrill. It's
fun
just
to
not
see
there
it.
yet. It is coming. So stay tuned on that. And the way I see it is that once that's turned on, all of us are suddenly going to say, "Whoa, there's other people here."
And
So I'm
that
really looking forward to that.
that's where Projectkin and Mission Genealogy, I think, is the next place that I need to collaborate. Um, eh, because there are already communities there.
Exactly.
And then as we have that community and people would come to, hear you and, you do several shows.
I
This
do.
just, tell me about you some more.
Sure.
You've been
But
helping me.
well, it's, you're my guest. Before we go there, there's one other very important glue to this community I want to give a shout out to, and
Mhm.
that is something called GenStack.
Okay,
GenStack. GenStack. And
okay.
this is run by my friend and collaborator on Mission Genealogy, Robin Stewart. Robin had started doing these posts once a week way back to share what she'd been reading that was interesting. It's like a newsletter of a newsletters. And
Mhm.
so she shares this for all of these writers in the genealogy space. And it's
Mhm.
one post that comes out, which is lovely. And it's a great way to wrap up the week to see, wait, what did I miss? Especially in the absence of a genealogy category. So what
Mm.
I do here is Project Kin from my view. So Robin is what I like to call a real genealogist. She's been running her own genealogy stack, which is called Genealogy Matters, genealogymatters.substack.com.
I'm taking notes.
Oh, don't worry. I've got when I send this out as a recording, which will go to all of my subscribers,
Mhm.
I will also include these links. And that's what started us collaborating. My lane, as distinct from her lane as the real genealogist, is the lane of crazy ideas for stories. Because I'm really all about is to help people understand that there are so many ways to tell stories and they are important, and they can tell stories too without writing big, self-published books, which are projects too. And in fact,
Mhm.
I dare anybody to write a book today without using their computer, right? That's just ain't nobody going to do that.
Yeah.
So as we take this forward, we look at things like these handwritten journals that are probably scanned for backups. We look at these, videos and QR codes and games and timelines and whiteboards and all kinds of crazy ideas, but then actually how to do it. Because the how part can get really confusing. And then while you're doing it, how are you archiving it? How are you backing it up? How are you getting it to the right people? That's what we do as part
The
of Project Kin.
distribution. Yes.
Exactly, it's really and thinking about what you're doing. So I have 2 programs coming up this week, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
One is, both with guests and collaborators, because that's why I call myself a ringleader, 'cause I got friends.
I can see
So,
you though. Are you cracking a whip or what's going on? I think you're
s
a little kinder than that. I suspect.
Um, the sometimes I nudge. On Tuesday, tomorrow in California, and we also are very cognizant of our global Anglophone audience,
Mhm.
ranging from really the continent and the UK all the way to Western Australia. So we
Absolutely.
schedule our programs to address each side of the world to make sure everybody else remembers to get some sleep.
Good.
Um, so we have the Atlantic times and Pacific times. So tomorrow uh, in
Tomorrow's
California,
Monday. Tomorrow's
sorry,
Monday.
Tuesday in
Mhm.
California, or crack of dawn in, or a decent morning in Australia in our
Mhm.
Pacific time window. We have fifth of our 6-part series hosted by Jane Hutchin, who
Mhm.
is an extraordinary journalist, writer, performer, author out of Australia. And she has had a 6-part series for us called Forget Me Not: How We Memorialize, really looking at those end of life stories and storytelling process, how we do them, how we go about it, ways. It's not about so much about the crazy creativity project thingies that we do, but rather the deeper thinking about how you're getting there. It's been
Well,
an
and it's
absolutely fabulous series, and you can see that at projectkin.org slash no surprise, forget me not. Sorry?
really important because I came into the storytelling from a genealogist point of view. From this is a documented lineage through legal papers that have survived as far back as I can go in certain places. And but it isn't just about a birth date and a death date on a tombstone with a little dash between them. You've heard that talk.
Mhm.
Let's talk about what's in the dash,
What's in
what
the
they did
dash?
in their life, and the more I need to be honest with my grandchildren where I had struggles in my life because they only see me as wonderful me,
Mhm.
and I am pretty wonderful. But,
Yeah,
we've all had struggles, and I think that of all the people on the face of the earth, my descendants would like to know some of the little things I did to keep myself going when times
yeah,
were tough, or how I felt about 9/11, or,
yeah.
things like that. Yeah. I
That
think it's
resilience.
really important to tell the
Yeah.
story.
The resilience of the survivors is
Yes.
really a fabulous, fabulous education for
Mhm.
those coming along as they face those struggles in their lives. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And this is something that we go back and forth over with Jane. On Thursday
Mhm.
is my Atlantic program this week. And this is where I bring in the deep chops in real genealogy as Emma Cox, who is a professional genealogist in the UK, specializing in particular around the Kent region.
Mhm.
And she shares with us, as a professional genealogist, what happens when she looks at her own work. And she goes back and forth not only in the surprises and discoveries in her own family tree, but also taking themes. Take a given theme. A few weeks ago, it was things like actors and performers in her family tree. What did she find,
Hmm.
and where were they, and how did she find them? And then what were some of the tools and tricks to finding things? And one of my favorite ones that she's come up with, which is so doggone obvious, I don't know why I didn't think of it, but putting alerts in eBay, and for things like hometowns and things like that, because records are produced and sold on eBay all the time
Uh,
for maps and old documents, newspapers, all kinds of things that are just relating to Abilene, Kansas in 1843. Things like that that are just become gold mines for information
Totally.
about something you're researching. So that's just our week this week. And I so
Cool.
enjoy doing these Sunday programs because it always lets me invite a guest and talk a little bit about that. Next week, well, we'll have to take a look at what next week is. I can only keep so much of my little buffer at a time.
I hear you. Well, we can continue this conversation tomorrow with
Okay.
my folks. I really appreciate your inviting me here today. It's been fun visiting with you. And there's
These are
somebody
always so much fun.
who has been walking way up above in the background, coming
Oh,
down the stairs. Say hi to that person.
I will.
I love
My
it.
support system, my support system.
Yes.
He's got, various paths, but it's still that's the kitchen.
Ah, yeah.
The
Don't
little
don't
secrets of Project Kin.
yeah, don't block off the kitchen to our guys. Boy.
No, no. Again, thank you everyone for joining. I so appreciate seeing your good cheer come by, and look forward to going through this with a transcript and pulling up links and posts for you. And we'll be meeting again, same bat time, same bat channel next week. All of you staying up late in the UK and Europe, I do appreciate it. And those of you coming in stretching early in the morning in Australia, New Zealand, good morning. How is tomorrow? Don't tell us. We don't want to know.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we do. We don't. Thanks so much, everybody.
Okay.
Talk to you
Bye.
soon. Bye bye now.